Get a brown or a black woman on this podcast for part 2 now. Get a brown or a black woman on this podcast for part 2 today. Now, I know poor Stephen gets a lot of hate and backlash for his health podcasts, and a lot of people have tried to cancel him. But you see this is the best thing he's released all year. This was such a needed conversation. Men are listening to this podcast because they have daughters, and women are learning more about their bodies. They talked about menopause, contraception, endometriosis, PCOS in such an easy way. But the only thing, women are already marginalised in the healthcare space. But imagine when we add black and brown women into this equation. There was 2 key takeaways from me in this podcast about the whiny woman and how women experience pain and aren't taken as seriously in the healthcare space, and then also how women aren't little men. But when we add genetics and systemic racism inside the healthcare space and looking at statistics about black women in childbirth and how maybe even there's a language barrier between doctor and patient, these things make such a big difference, and it is something that we really, really need to learn about. This is no fault to the podcast, by the way. It was absolutely amazing, and I know part 2 is coming, but please get a black or a brown woman on this podcast so we can talk about it on a deeper level and really understand the issues of women's health inside the healthcare space. It is changing, which is amazing, and we can see more and more data coming out, proving some of the things that we knew years ago aren't necessarily true. But I just think that is the missing piece of this puzzle. We need to talk about it.